The moment we have all been waiting for, and honestly dreading at the same time, is finally here. The Chosen has just dropped the Crucifixion trailer for Season 6, and I have to be completely honest with you, I was not ready. I thought I was ready. I have read the story 100 times. I know how it ends. I know every single moment that is coming. And yet, the second this trailer started playing, something hit me in a way I was not expecting at all. My hands were shaking. My eyes filled up, and I just sat there completely frozen, staring at the screen. Because seeing these characters that we have spent years loving, years growing with, years crying over seeing them in these moments, in this pain, in this darkness, it is something that no amount of preparation could have made easier. This is not just another season trailer. This is the trailer. The one that changes everything. The one that leads us straight into the most painful, the most powerful, and the most important moment in all of human history. And after watching it multiple times now, I need to sit down with you and go through every single detail together. Because there is so much happening in this trailer that you may have missed. And every single second of it matters deeply. Let me start from the very beginning of this trailer, because the way it opens is already enough to completely destroy you emotionally before anything has even happened yet. The trailer does not open with action. It does not open with chaos or noise or dramatic music. It opens with silence, and that silence alone is enough to tell you that what you are about to watch is unlike anything The Chosen has ever shown us before. In that silence, we see Jesus, and the very first thing you notice is his eyes. Jonathan Roumie, the man who has carried this role with such incredible grace and such unbelievable depth for 6 seasons now, looks different in this trailer. Not different in a bad way, different in a way that is almost impossible to put into words. There is a stillness in his eyes that is so deep, so full, so completely at peace, and yet at the same time so heartbreakingly aware of everything that is coming. It is the look of a man who knows, who has always known, and who has chosen, with every single part of himself, to walk forward anyway. That look alone, before a single word is spoken, before a single scene fully plays out, already tells you the entire story of who Jesus is. And I genuinely do not know how Jonathan does it. I do not know how a human being reaches inside themselves and finds something that profound and puts it on screen for all of us to see. But he does it. He has always done it. And in this trailer, he does it better than he has ever done it before. Then the music begins. And the moment that music starts, the weight of everything just falls on you all at once. It is not a loud, dramatic score. It is quiet. It is almost gentle, but it carries with it this enormous, crushing sense of inevitability. Like something is coming that cannot be stopped, that was never meant to be stopped, and that will change the entire world forever. And as that music builds slowly, we begin to see the other characters. And this is where the trailer starts pulling you apart piece by piece. Because it is one thing to think about Jesus going through this, it is another thing entirely to see the people who love him watching it happen. We see the disciples, and the expressions on their faces are not something I can describe to you easily, because each one of them is carrying something different. Some of them look terrified, some of them look completely broken, some of them look like they are trying so hard to hold themselves together and completely failing, and watching these men and women that we have journeyed with for years and years, watching them fall apart in real time, that is when the trailer first made me cry. Because it is not just about Jesus in this moment, it is about everyone who loved him. It is about what it costs to love someone that deeply and then be forced to watch them suffer. And then we get our first real glimpse of what Season 6 is actually going to look like visually. And I have to say, the production quality in this trailer is absolutely stunning. The Chosen has always looked beautiful, but there is something about the way Season 6 has been shot that feels different, heavier, darker. The lighting is more dramatic. The colors are deeper. The shadows are longer. Every single frame looks like it was designed to make you feel the weight of what is happening. Nothing is soft. Nothing is comfortable. Nothing is trying to make this easier for you to watch. And I think that is exactly the right choice, because this story should not be easy to watch. It should not be comfortable. It was not comfortable to live through. And the fact that the filmmakers are choosing to honor that, choosing to not pull their punches or soften the reality of what Jesus went through, tells me that Season 6 is going to be everything that fans of this show have been hoping and praying it would be. Then, just as the music swells a little more, we get a moment in the trailer that stopped me completely. We see Mary, and I want you to understand something. Every single time Mary has appeared on screen throughout this entire series, she has carried with her this quiet, almost unbearable tenderness. The way she looks at Jesus, the way she holds herself when she is near him, it has always been one of the most emotionally powerful things about this show. But in this trailer, that tenderness is still there. And layered on top of it is something that I can only describe as a grief so deep that it goes beyond tears. She is not crying in this moment. She is past tears. She is in a place of pain that most of us, thankfully, will never have to understand. And watching her in that place, watching a mother face what no mother should ever have to face, is genuinely one of the hardest things I have ever had to sit through in a trailer. And yet I could not look away. Because it is real. Because it is true. Because it is exactly what this story asks us to witness. The trailer keeps building from there. And the tension just does not let up for a single second. We begin to see flashes of the events leading into the crucifixion, the interrogations, the crowds, the chaos of a city that is about to watch something happen that it does not fully understand yet. And through all of it, through all the noise and the anger and the confusion surrounding him, Jesus moves with this extraordinary calm. This is something that Jonathan has always done beautifully with this character. But in these clips from season 6, it reaches an entirely new level. He is not numb. He is not detached. He is fully present in every single moment, fully feeling everything around him, and yet he is completely, impossibly calm, like a deep river that nothing on the surface can disturb. And watching that calm in the middle of everything that is being done to him and everything that is about to be done to him, watching him choose peace when he had every reason to choose rage, is what makes this story what it is what makes Jesus who he is. And I promise you, seeing Jonathan bring that to life in this trailer, you will feel it in a way that goes straight past your mind and lands directly in your chest. Now, as the trailer moves forward, the pace begins to shift. And this shift is intentional. Because what comes next in this trailer is not slow and quiet anymore. It is urgent. It is desperate. It is the kind of urgency that grabs you by the chest and does not let go. And the reason it feels so urgent is because we begin to see the people around Jesus starting to truly understand, perhaps for the very first time, that this is actually happening, that this is real, that the man they have followed, the man they have given everything up for, the man who has healed them and fed them and changed them from the inside out, he is not going to be saved from this. There is no last-minute rescue coming. There is no miracle that is going to reverse what has already been set in motion. And watching the disciples come to that realization in real time, watching it land on each of them differently, watching some of them crumble and some of them freeze and some of them just stare in complete disbelief. It is devastating in a way that feels deeply, personally painful, because we as the audience are going through the exact same thing alongside them. We know what is coming. We have always known what is coming. And yet, somehow, watching it unfold through the eyes of these characters that we love so deeply, it still feels like a shock. It still feels like something that should not be happening. And that is honestly a tribute to how brilliantly this show has been made. Because The Chosen has spent 5 seasons making us fall completely in love with these people. And now in season 6, it is asking us to watch them go through the hardest thing they will ever face. And we have no choice but to go through it with them. One of the moments in this section of the trailer that hit me the absolute hardest was seeing Peter. And I need to take a moment here to talk about Peter specifically, because his journey in this trailer carries a weight that is entirely its own. We all know what Peter does. We all know the moment that is coming for him. The moment where the man who declared louder and more boldly than anyone else that he would never abandon Jesus, the man who stepped out of the boat, the man who cut off the ear of a soldier to defend his Lord, that man will deny even knowing Jesus 3 times before the rooster crows. And in this trailer, you can already see that coming. You can already see it in the way Peter carries himself. There is a tension in him that has been building all season, a conflict between his enormous love for Jesus and his very human, very real fear. And what this show has always done so beautifully is remind us that Peter's denial does not make him a villain. It makes him one of the most painfully relatable characters in the entire story. Because how many of us, if we are being completely honest with ourselves, would have done any differently? How many of us, faced with that same fear, surrounded by that same danger, in that same darkness, how many of us would have had the courage to stand up and say, yes, I know him, I am with him. Do with me what you will. Peter's failure is not a story about weakness. It is a story about being human. And the fact that this show has spent 5 seasons building us up to this moment making us understand Peter from the inside out, making us love him and root for him and see ourselves in him. It means that when his denial comes in season 6, it is not going to feel like a historical fact that we already knew. It is going to feel like a wound, a real, personal, deeply felt wound. And this trailer already begins to prepare you for that. Already begins to plant that ache inside you before the season has even started. And then there is Judas. And I have to be careful here, because talking about Judas is complicated. And this show has always treated his story with a level of care and complexity that I deeply respect. The Chosen has never made Judas into a simple cartoon villain. It has never reduced him to just the man who betrayed Jesus and nothing more. It has given him layers. It has given him motivations that we can understand even when we cannot agree with them. It has shown us a man who genuinely believed at some level that what he was doing might somehow force Jesus into action, might somehow trigger the revolution that he was convinced Jesus was meant to lead. And the tragedy of Judas is that by the time he realizes how catastrophically wrong he was, it is already too late. The 30 pieces of silver have already been paid. The kiss has already been given. The arrest has already happened. And now, watching the consequences of his decision play out in this trailer, watching Judas face the full weight of what he has done. It is not satisfying in the way that a villain's downfall is supposed to feel satisfying. It is just sad. Deeply, completely sad, because this show made us understand him. And understanding him makes his ending hurt in a way that simple condemnation never could. In this trailer, there is a moment where you catch just a glimpse of Judas. And the look on his face in that moment says everything. It says that he knows, that he has always known, somewhere deep inside himself, that this was not what he wanted. That this is not how any of this was supposed to go. And that look will stay with you long after the trailer ends. But even as all of this is happening, even as the people around Jesus are breaking and failing and falling apart in their different ways, the trailer keeps bringing us back to Jesus himself. And every single time it does, there is this extraordinary contrast between the chaos surrounding him and the peace that lives inside him. We see him being pushed. We see him being mocked. We see people who do not understand what they are looking at. People who see only a criminal, only a troublemaker, only a man who said things that made powerful people uncomfortable, and we watch them treat him accordingly. And through all of it, he does not perform his dignity. He does not demand respect or fight for recognition or try to make anyone understand who he really is. He simply is who he is, completely and without apology in every single moment. And there is something about watching someone be that fully themselves in the middle of that much cruelty and misunderstanding. There is something about it that is both heartbreaking and strangely, powerfully beautiful at the same time, because it reminds you of what this whole story has always been about. Not power, not force, not the kind of victory that the world recognizes and celebrates, but something so much deeper and so much more real than any of that. And Jonathan Roumie, in every single frame of this trailer, carries that truth in his body, in his eyes, in the way he holds himself and moves and breathes. He is not acting it, he is living it, and you can feel the difference. As this section of the trailer builds toward its most intense moments, we also begin to get our first real sense of Pontius Pilate and the impossible position he finds himself in. And this is something I am particularly excited about in season 6. Because Pilate is one of the most fascinating and honestly one of the most tragic figures in this entire story. Here is a man who has the power to stop what is happening. Who knows, on some level, that the man standing in front of him is innocent, who has been warned, who has been given every opportunity to make a different choice. And yet he will not make it. Not because he is purely evil, not because he simply does not care, but because he is trapped between his own conscience and the weight of political pressure, between what he knows is right and what he believes he cannot afford to do. And watching that trap close around him in this trailer, watching a powerful man be completely powerless in the face of his own compromises, it is one of the most quietly devastating things in the entire story. Because Pilate is not a monster. He is a man, and the fact that a man with a man's conscience and a man's capacity for doubt and a man's knowledge of right and wrong still chose what he chose. That is what makes his part in this story so permanently haunting. This trailer gives us just enough of Pilate to make you feel all of that already. And I cannot wait to see how season 6 fully brings his story to life. And now we reach the part of the trailer that I genuinely was not prepared for. The part that made me stop the video, sit back, close my eyes, and just breathe for a moment before I could continue watching. Because everything up until this point in the trailer, as emotionally heavy as it already was still building towards something, still approaching something, still carrying that sense of inevitability without fully arriving at it yet. But in this section of the trailer, we arrive, and when we do, the weight of it is unlike anything I have felt watching this show before. We begin to see the scourging, and I want to be very careful about how I talk about this, because I do not want to be dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. I do not want to sensationalize something that is sacred, but I also want to be completely honest with you, because you deserve honesty. And the honest truth is that watching even the brief glimpses of this moment in the trailer is one of the most difficult things I have sat through as a viewer of this show. Not because of the physical details, not because of what is visually shown on screen, but because of what it means, because of who it is happening to. Because every single lash, every single moment of that suffering was not accidental, was not random, was chosen willingly, deliberately, out of a love so enormous that the human mind genuinely struggles to fully hold it. And Jonathan Roumie in these moments does not play Jesus as someone who is simply enduring pain. He plays him as someone who is choosing it actively, consciously, with full knowledge of what it costs and full willingness to pay that cost anyway. And the difference between those two things, between enduring and choosing, is everything. It is the entire heart of this story. And seeing it on screen, seeing it carried in Jonathan's face and body with that level of depth and truth, will break you open in the most necessary and the most beautiful way. Makes these moments in the trailer even more emotionally powerful is the way the show cuts between what is happening to Jesus and what is happening to the people who love him. Because while Jesus is going through this, his disciples are out there somewhere in the city. Some of them are hiding. Some of them are watching from a distance, too afraid to come closer. Some of them do not even know yet the full extent of what is being done to him. And the distance between them and him in these moments is not just physical, it is emotional. It is spiritual.